Very good evening to all of you. कैसे हैं सब लोग? So today topic is interesting and completely practical. So in some of the topic, I might have to say that I will try to make the combination of the theory and practical, but this written is completely practical, in which sometime we have to visit the GST portal also, which we had in the past. And yes, definitely we will discuss the law related to the GST return. So let me start with the GST return. In the registration chapter, we have discussed multiple category of the registration. My first question to all of you, can you tell me the three category of the GST registration? I request everyone that kindly tell me the three different category of the GST registration, and then I will accordingly give me the answer to this question and will start my practical GST return chapter. So, as you know that we have discussed in section 24 multiple category of the registration. So in that chapter, I like to ask any three different category of the GST registration. One I can tell like regular category of registration, right? Now rest two you have to tell me. Very good evening to all. Isan, Sudhanshu, Rusita, Darshan, everyone, please give me the answer, because now you will understand that according to the GST registration, the category in which you have taken the registration, the applicability of the return would change. For example, I have taken the GST registration under normal category. Yes. Under normal category, then the GST registration, if I have taken under the normal category, then the return which I will furnish, it would be GSTR 3B, GSTR 1, annual return GSTR 9, reconciliation statement 9C, etc. Same thing, like I have received the answer composition category, then the applicability of the return would be different, like GSTR 4. To pay the taxes, I have to use the form that is CMP 08, etc. Suppose I have registration under OIDAR category, voluntarily category, casual taxable person category. So non-resident taxable person category, in all category, the GST return would be different. Suppose I am registered only for the purpose of the TDS and the TCS, which is your final syllabus, not in the inter syllabus, but the applicability of the return would be different. Now, coming to the regular category of the registration, we need to file GSTR 3B and GSTR 1, and then annually we will discuss in some point of time later. But let me start the concept of return which is applicable to the regular taxpayer. Regular taxpayer, which return they will file? GSTR 1 and GSTR 3B. Now, in that, there is a concept of QRMP. So this is the particular slide which in which I have written that return applicable to the regular category, monthly, QRMP or composition. Let me move. What is the meaning of QRMP? Q stand for quarterly, R stand for return, M for monthly, and P for payment. It means in this concept, QRMP is only applicable for the regular category of the taxpayer who are furnishing the GSTR 3B and the GSTR 1. What is the QRMP? QRMP, if aggregate turnover up to 5 crore. Please give me the quick answer. Please give me the quick answer. Suppose I am doing the business in Rajasthan, I am doing the business in Delhi, I am doing the business in Haryana. I have the 3 GST number. In Rajasthan, I have the turnover of 2 crore. In Delhi, I have the turnover of 2 crore. In Haryana, I have the turnover of 2 crore. Can this SSC able to opt QRMP for Rajasthan? My question is whether this category of the taxpayer, the registration which he has obtained for the Rajasthan, whether he would be able to opt QRMP or not. Quick question answer. So the point which I like to highlight, that the point which I like to highlight, the turnover which we looked into, will the turnover in the state or UT as defined in section 2 clause 112, or aggregate turnover which is defined in the section 2 clause 6 of the CGST Act. What is the difference when we talk about the aggregate turnover? When we talk about the aggregate turnover, it means pan India. In this example, I have to merge all the sale, make total of all the sale. It means 2 plus 2 plus 2, 6 crore. It is exceeding 5 crore. Yes, he cannot go for QRMP. What is the concept of QRMP? We have discussed that in this case, the return would be filed quarterly, but the taxes would be paid on monthly basis. This concept was introduced on January 2021. Let's move further. What happened after this concept? After this concept, one thing is clear, that either you are under monthly or you are under QRMP, meaning thereby frequency of GSTR 3B and GSTR 1. I'm using the word and. The frequency of the 3B and 1, either it would be monthly or it would be quarterly. ध्यान रखिएगा एक बात कि मैं वर्ड एंड यूज कर रहा हूं. इट मींस prior to that there was a possibility that you can go for GSTR1 only quarterly and 3B you have to file monthly. Now that concept has been abolished. या तो दोनों मंथली होगा या दोनों क्वार्टरली होगा. ठीक है, एक मिनट. Now, so QRMP, my aggregate turnover is below threshold of 5 crore. Below aggregate 5 crore का नीचे मेरा turnover है. I can go for QRMP. Answer is yes, you can go for QRMP. So how to communicate to the portal? So there is a time frame. There is a time frame within which you have to exercise this option. Sir, what is the time frame? What is the time frame? The time frame is 3 months. 3 months means, let's say I like to opt QRMP for the July to September quarter. I like to opt QRMP for July to September quarter. What is the first month? July. It means the last date to opt this QRMP scheme would be 31st July. The last date to opt QRMP is the 31st July. And this option would start 2 months in advance. It means from this quarter, go back to the 2 month back. So it means from 1st of May to 31st July, this option would be available. This option, where it would be available? In the common portal. In the common portal, you can exercise this option. How to exercise? We will discuss. So when I will log into the portal, then I will show this point again. But for the timing, I like to discuss only the time period. It means, can I change for every quarter? Answer is yes. Assume for July to September, I am under QRMP and like to go for monthly. Can I go for monthly? Answer is yes. But only point that you have to exercise this option. You have to convey the thing to the GST portal within this time frame. So let me ask you one question. Let me ask you one question. Please give the time frame. Suppose I like to go for QRMP Jan to March quarter. Till December, I am under monthly scheme. Now I like to go for QRMP. Can you please tell me the time frame within which I have to convey the option? I have to select that option of QRMP. For which quarter I like to go? Jan to March quarter. आप मुझे बताइए वो टाइम फ्रेम जिसमें मैं ये अपना ऑप्शन एक्सरसाइज कर सकता हूं. Mohammed, we will discuss. Just allow me some time. Just allow me some time. We are going to discuss each and everything in the QRMP. Wait for that time. Because your point is covered in the one slide, so I'm not giving the answer right now. Most of the participant, no. Again, let me repeat. I like to go for QR. Let's say the today month is October or November. Any assume. What is the starting date and what is the ending date within which I have to exercise, I have to convert the option from monthly to quarterly. Kab se kab tak? So which quarter I have talked about? Jan to March. Jan to March. What is the first month? Sir, January. Is it clear? October 1st, November to 31st Jan. Not 1st October. 1st November to 31st Jan. Is it clear to all? The first month of the quarter, that is Jan. So that would be the last date. 31st Jan would be the last date. And this option would be available for 3 months. So go back. 1st November, then November, December, and January. Is it clear? Now, let me move to the next point. Now, if I have exercised this option and in the next quarter, I like to go for the same option, do I need to again convey anything to the portal? No. Once you exercise this option, you would continue in the same. Only point that if you like to change, suppose monthly to quarterly or quarterly to monthly, then within the time frame, you have to convey that option. You have to select that option. Okay. Now, one question is, suppose in between my turnover exceed 5 crore, then suppose in between my turnover exceed 5 crore, then from which date I would be ineligible from QRMP and I have to go for monthly. My question is that suppose in between I have selected from Jan to March, or let's say I have selected for QRMP under 1 quarter, and within that quarter my turnover exceed 5 crore. So I know that QRMP would be available if the aggregate turnover is up to 5 crore. But my turnover exceed 5 crore. What to do in this case? In this case, you will continue for the same quarter as if you are having the turnover less than 5 crore, up to 5 crore. You will not disqualify from QRMP for the current quarter. From the next quarter, yes, you would be disqualified. You have to go compulsory under the monthly. Check. Now, what is the concept of QRMP for distinct person? Now, so if I ask the question from your basic understanding, give me the answer. That I have the 3 registration. Aggregate turnover is below 5 crore. So accordingly, I am eligible for QRMP. My question to all of you is, can I opt different scheme for the different registration under the same PAN? It means, can I go Rajasthan for monthly, Haryana for quarterly QRMP, and Maharashtra for monthly, and for other state again QRMP? Can I opt different or no? You have to opt same category or same category of return, either all under monthly or all under QRMP. The prima facie, it appears that no, sir, it should be same prima facie, but that is not correct. In this QRMP or monthly, it is not fixed that it should be same for the same PAN number. No, they are saying it can be different for the different GST number under the same PAN. It means I have the 3 registration. I can have some registration under QRMP, or I can have the filing return system monthly for some registration. There is no hard and fast rule that all the registration should have the same frequency of the GST return. Is it clear? Is it clear? बट मेरा एक क्वेश्चन आपसे, क्या ऐसा कोई रेस्ट्रिक्शन आपने लॉ में कहीं भी पढ़ा है? वेर एवर यू हैव रेड, आई एम आस्किंग वन क्वेश्चन, क्या आपने जीएसटी लॉ में ऐसा कहीं रेस्ट्रिक्शन पढ़ा है कि इट शुड बी सेम फॉर ऑल पैन? जस्ट आस्किंग, इज देयर एनी कैटेगरी or any provision in the GST law which talks about same for same PAN? You cannot opt or you cannot go for the different for the each registration. एक ऐसी चीज है जो मैं आपसे पूछना चाहता हूं कि आपके एक पैन में 3 जीएसटी नंबर है, तो कोई एक ऐसा प्रोविजन है जो कि तीनों के लिए सेम होगा, which I like to discuss which one would be the same for all PAN, all the GST number under that PAN. First right answer is from Sudhanshu. First right answer is from Sudhanshu. पहला बात है, आंसर इज यस, प्रोविजन है. अब आप लोगों को ये बताना कि कौन सा प्रोविजन है. भूमिका नहीं, ऋतिक नहीं. There is a provision which talks about that you can have the different, you cannot have the different for different GST number under the same PAN. Absolutely correct. Second right answer from Darshan. Darshan C. नहीं sir, ऋतिक नहीं. Kavita, this is my question, that which provision talks about that you have the same for all distinct person? You cannot have the different. For example, if I'm talking about the different, then you can give the example of QRMP. GST का एक ऐसा provision which talks about you can have the different system for the distinct person. The answer would be QRMP, right? Now, in the same pattern, if I ask the question, which provision talks about that it should be same for all the GST under that PAN, the answer is composition scheme. Composition scheme, it means either all GST number under one PAN should be registered under composition or should be under regular. You cannot opt some for the composition category and balance for the regular category. It is not possible. The possibility is either you should opt all for composition or you should opt all for regular. You cannot have the different choice for the different GST number. That is the composition. ये provision हमेशा ध्यान रखना, QRMP versus composition. Let's move further. So, do you like to change every time? No, you will continue in the same till the time you become ineligible, which I talked about, more than 5 crore, or second, that you have opted out from that QRMP. Now, let's say further. Now, in the GST, we all know that regular category of the taxpayer will file the GSTR 3B and GSTR 1 on monthly or quarterly. GSTR 3B and GSTR 1 either on monthly or quarterly. We are talking about, suppose he has opted QRMP, then he will file the GSTR 1 and GSTR 3B only after the end of the quarter. Right now, suppose I have opted QRMP, then I will file the GSTR 3B and the GSTR 1 only after the end of the quarter. The point is, which I like to convey, that what will be the requirement on QRMP taxpayer for month 1 and month 2. See, I am talking about that if you opted QRMP, then is there any compliances which is to be done by QRMP taxpayer on month 1 and month 2? Sir, why you are taking 2 months only? Because we know on the month 3, after the end of the month, that is full quarter, we have to furnish 3B, we have to furnish R1. The compliance is already known to me. But what is the requirement for M1 and M2? That we are going to discuss in some time. What is the GSTR1? So the GSTR1 is the details of outward supply. What is the GSTR1? GSTR1 is the details of outward supply. Detail and then outward. It means I have to furnish my sales का detail in the GSTR1. Sales या service कुछ भी. Every registered person who is registered under regular category, he has to furnish. But other than OIDAR, OIDAR means Online Information Database Access Retrieval, which is your final syllabus, which will be discussed in detail in the final. But OIDAR not required to file the GSTR1. Now Rule 59 sub Rule 2. Here we will discuss the concept for QRMP compliances with respect to outward supply. Let me repeat once again. We are going to discuss that what is the compliance requirement for M1 and M2. Okay. So give me only 1 minute. Give me only 1 minute. So I was talking about that if I have opted QRMP, okay, then for month 1 and month 2, please note I am using the word optional. It is an option. It is not mandatory. What is the option? That if I like to file my outward supply, which is B2B, which supply? Only B2B. Because I have opted QRMP, then I have to furnish my GSTR1 only after the end of the quarter. Correct? But there is a facility, there is an option given to me if I like to furnish my outward supply only B2B. I can for M1 and M2. The form by which I will furnish my outward supply, the form is IFF. What is the full name of IFF? Invoice Furnishing Facility. क्या नाम है पूरा? Invoice Furnishing Facility. There is an upper cap that in the IFF, I can only put the sales up to 50 lakh. I cannot go beyond 50 lakhs. What is the due date? 13th of the next month. It is only for M1 and M2. What about M3? I am not required to furnish M3 because obviously there is full GSTR1. What is the IFF? IFF is simple. Simply I can say IFF is nothing but the shorter form of the GSTR1. Some tables of the R1 which pertain to B2B supply are being reported in the IFF. Let me ask one question to all of you. Let me ask one question I have not yet discussed this point. This is in the next slide. But if I ask one question to all of you, can you give me the answer? What is the need or requirement of IFF? सोच के बताइए, you will give the, definitely you will give the correct answer. I know, but what is the question? The question is, what is the requirement or the need of IFF? That is my question to all of you. Over to you. Can anybody tell me what is the requirement of IFF? What is the requirement of IFF or QRMP? Why it is being added? One logical answer. Why IFF is being introduced? What is the requirement of IFF? So Ritik Prajapati, what is your question? If some are registered under monthly, some are under QRMP, ठीक है. तो question क्या आपका? Absolutely correct answer by Muhammad K and Sankaran and Darshan. Because there are a lot of answers. Let me see. हाँ, Manisha, Bhumika, Keshav. Vaishali, point is correct, but instead of the supplier, you should write the recipient. Subham, Diksha, Farah Sayyad, Varsha, Varsha Shethe, yeah, right. I am receiving your answer. I'm able to see your reply. All are correct. What is the benefit? Suppose I have opted QRMP, and if you allow me to file the return only after the end of the quarter and no facility would be given for month 1 and month 2, then my customer would be in the problem. Suppose my customer is under monthly scheme, then their ITC would be deferred after the end of the quarter. Their ITC would be deferred after the end of the quarter. Why the customer will purchase from me? No one will do the transaction with me, sir. So to facilitate even for the small taxpayer, QRMP, they are saying that yes, we are having the IFF functionality in which you can upload B2B invoice on monthly basis, and correspondingly the recipient will be able to get the ITC on monthly basis. And in which form? If I like to ask that on which form it will be added? On which form it will be added in the recipient? कौन से form में उसको वो transaction दिखाई देगा? On that basis, he will be able to take the ITC. In which form this transaction would be reflected in the recipient in order to avail the input tax credit? Yes. The form is Vaishali Bindal, and already I think Farah Sayyad has already given the form number. Right. So the answer is GSTR 2B. Let's move further. So for first and second month of the quarter, continuous upload the invoice would also be provided. Continuous upload. Such supply will duly reflected in 2A as well as 2B, but now the ITC would be taken only on the basis of the GSTR 2B. Such facility is not mandatory. It is optional. Important point. The details which I have added in the IFF, the outward supply of B2B, which I have added in the GST IFF, I will not require to be repeat again in the GSTR1. Rather, I should say you cannot add again in the GSTR1. At his option, a registered person may choose to furnish the detail during ticket. That is okay. Please note that what is the due date? The due date is 13. After 13, you cannot furnish IFF. After 13, you cannot furnish IFF. I'm only talking about IFF. Either you have to furnish IFF by the due date or you cannot furnish at all. Now, we talked about the full name of QRMP is quarterly return, which we have discussed to some extent, yet to discuss a lot on the GSTR 3B, etc. But second part is monthly payment. It means you have to pay the tax on monthly basis. What would be the mode to pay the taxes? Mode क्या होगा tax pay करने का? The payment of the taxes would be through PMT06. You remember when I was explaining the concept of the different category of the register ledger, electronic cash ledger, electronic credit ledger, in which I have shown the option to you. If you are under QRMP, then how to pay the taxes? The payment of the taxes would be by 25th through PMT06. When you will go to the PMT06, this part I have already discussed. When you go to the PMT06, then there are two options. The first option for QRMP taxpayer and second for others. If I am paying the taxes because of QRMP by 25th, then I will select, this is the option, exact name, monthly payment for quarterly taxpayer. क्या option है? Monthly payment for quarterly taxpayer. So, I have to select that option and pay the amount. What was the, how much I have to pay the amount? कितना मुझे पे करना है, that we are going to discuss. There are two methods, एक fixed sum method, एक self assessment method. We are going to discuss, but the point is, I have to pay the taxes by 25th by selecting the option monthly payment for quarterly taxpayer. Then there are two options. For two option means, see, in the PMT06, there are two options. First option is QRMP and second is other. When you select QRMP, you will find another two options. When you select QRMP, you will find another two options. That is, one is called as 35%. It is name is fixed sum method, and second is self-assessment method. What are the method? This method tell you the quantum of the taxes which you need to pay. This method tells you the quantum of taxes which you need to pay to the government. कितना टैक्स आपको गवर्नमेंट को पे करना है, ये चीज कौन बताएगा? ठीक है, यहां तक कोई क्वेश्चन है? प्लीज टेल मी. If there is there any question? Kindly ask me. I'm allowing 2 minutes to ask. Is it mandatory to all QRMP taxpayer to pay monthly tax? Yes, that would be important. If you not pay the tax by 25th, you have to pay the interest. अगर आपने टैक्स नहीं पे किया by 25th in case of the QRMP, then interest would be applicable, section 50 वाला. Susil is asking, or my IFF is required for each invoice for return? Question clear नहीं है Susil. Is it a question or any answer to my question? Right, Darshan. We have discussed in the chapter 6. कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं है? चलो आगे बढ़ते हैं. Is there any question? अगर कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं है ना, तो भी आप एक बार रिप्लाई जरूर करना कि सर क्लियर, देयर इज नो क्वेश्चन. सो आई रिक्वेस्ट एवरीवन, ताकि अपना कम्युनिकेशन बना रहे. You should give me the reply that sir clear, or you can ask the question, whatever. And kindly do not wait that for asking the question. You are always asking on real time basis. So accordingly, continue that practice. My second point, that the fixed sum method is also called as 35% method. Fixed sum method is also called as 35% method. What is the 35%? 35% is the liability of first 2 months. कैसे, क्यों नाम इसका पड़ा 35%? We will discuss. But please note one thing, that this fixed sum method is also called as 35% method. What is this method? Which method we are talking about? Fixed sum method. By the name, it clear that it is a fixed sum. Fixed sum. It means for M1 and M2, the quantum of the taxes would same. It cannot be different. Second point, it is not dependent on the current quarter sale. Amount of the taxes which you will pay under fixed sum method. Amount of the taxes which you will pay under the fixed sum method is not dependent on the actual sale of the current tax quarter. Then it is dependent on the past. Past means, let's say I'm talking about for July to September, I am under QRMP, and in the month of the July, for M1, I have to pay the taxes by 25th of next month. How much I have to pay the tax? Let's say I am going to let's say I am like to deposit for fixed sum method under the fixed sum method category. Then कितना deposit करना पड़ेगा? Amount which I have to deposit is not dependent on the actual sale. It is dependent upon the previous quarter sale. It means go and see the frequency of the last quarter. So in my example, I have told you that July to September, I have opted QRMP. July to September, I have opted QRMP. Now, for July month, how much I have to pay the taxes? I will go previous quarter. What is the previous quarter? April to June. कौन सा क्वार्टर हुआ पीछे वाला? April to June. In the April to June, the first question which you need to ask whether you are under QRMP or monthly. The first question which you need to ask that whether you are paying the taxes under quarterly or monthly. There is two possibility. I am taking the first possibility that it is QRMP. एक बात बताइए. The first question to all of you. That suppose my frequency in the April to June quarter was QRMP. मुझे बताइए उस क्वार्टर का 3B 1 होगा या 3 होगा? अप्रैल टू जून पीरियड के लिए GSTR 3B, will it be 1 or will it be 3? How much 3B would be there for April to June quarter if I am under QRMP? It's a very simple question to all of you. The answer would be 1. Obviously, because I am under QRMP, quarterly return, monthly payment. So if I am under QRMP, then your return ka frequency would be only after the end of the quarter. If there is only 1, it means this GSTR 3B, which is represent the liability, ITC, payment of taxes for entire quarter. For entire quarter, it means if you have opted quarterly even for the last quarter, then check how much amount you have deposited in 3B. मैं क्या कर रहा हूं अभी? What I'm doing exactly? मैं भूल गया. Can you please tell me what I'm doing currently? Why I am doing this? अभी मैं क्या कर रहा हूं? What I like to explain, kindly confirm. अभी जो हम डिस्कशन कर रहे हैं, on which point we are doing the discussion? किस पॉइंट पर डिस्कशन कर रहे हैं? Can anybody tell me? On which point we are doing the discussion? On which point we are doing the discussion? Please help me because I don't know. किस पॉइंट का डिस्कशन कर रहे हैं जिसके लिए हम यहां तक पहुंच गए? We are doing the discussion, right? We are doing the discussion that under fix sum method, how much amount I have to pay for M1 and M2. Under the 35% method, how much amount I have to pay for M1 and M2. One point we have discussed that for 35% method, amount which you will deposit for M1, amount which you will deposit for M2, it would remain same. It would not change. Second point which we have discussed, that the amount which you will deposit, it is irrespective your actual sale. It is dependent upon the previous sale. If the previous quarter is under QRMP, then the GSTR 3B would represent the liability. Everything would be 3 months. Yes. So please check that the liability of the GSTR 3B of the previous quarter, how much liability you have paid through cash. मैं रिपीट कर रहा हूं कि पीछे वाले क्वार्टर में लाइबिलिटी का कितना पोर्शन आपने कैश में पे किया थ्रू कैश. जितना अमाउंट आपने कैश में पे किया है मल्टीप्लाई बाई 35%. Why 35%? Why 35%? Because we have discussed that whatever we have reported in the GSTR 3B, whatever we have paid in that GSTR 3B, that would represent 3-month liability. So आपने जितना भी कैश में जमा करवाया है उस 3B में for making the payment of the liability, then that would represent for 3 months. और अगर हमें 1 महीने का निकालना होगा तो हम क्या करेंगे? डिवाइडेड बाय 3, 1/3 करेंगे ना. व्हाट इज 1/3? 1/3 इज नथिंग बट द 33.33%. तो इस मेथड ने क्या किया? सिंपली राउंड ऑफ किया, नथिंग एल्स. सिंपली दे हैव डन द राउंडिंग ऑफ. 33.33 की जगह उन्होंने क्या कहा? 35% लेना है. इज इट क्लियर? नाउ पहले मुझे बताएं ये वाला पार्ट क्लियर है? अगर मैं M1 और M2 के लिए 35% मेथड में जाता हूं और पीछे वाली फ्रीक्वेंसी अगर क्वार्टरली है तो लाइबिलिटी विच आई डिपॉजिटेड इन कैश, द लाइबिलिटी ऑफ GSTR 3B ऑफ एंटायर क्वार्टर, द अमाउंट विच आई डिपॉजिटेड इन कैश, उसका 35% करके मंथ 1 एंड मंथ 2 में आपको डिपॉजिट करना है. इज इट क्लियर? Now the next option, the next point, let's say I am under QRMP for July to September quarter. Let's say I am under QRMP for July to September quarter. I am trying to calculate the amount of the taxes which I have to pay for M1 and M2. Because I am calculating under fixed sum method, so I have to check the previous frequency. Assume that previous quarter you were under monthly scheme. In the previous quarter you were under monthly scheme. ठीक है? In that month, April month, May month, June month, you have filed separately 3B. Check GSTR 3B for the month of the June. Check GSTR 3B for the month of the June. How much amount you have deposited in cash to discharge the liability of June month. मैं रिपीट करता हूं कि जून का लाइबिलिटी कितना कैश में डिपॉजिट किया वो अमाउंट बताइए. एक क्वेश्चन आपसे है, वन क्वेश्चन टू ऑल ऑफ यू, कैन यू प्लीज टेल मी इफ आई एम अंडर मंथली then the liability in the June 3B would represent only 1 month or it would represent entire quarter. My question to all of you, April to June, I was not under QRMP. I am under monthly. So my question is, amount which you have deposited in the June month 3B, would that represent for only 1 month or for entire quarter? Rajiv, 35% in month 1, M1, 35% in M2, and balance when you file the GST R1 and 3B, you have to pay actual. The answer is only 1 month because you are talking about monthly GST R3B. Absolutely correct. Amount of the liability which is deposited through cash in the June month, exact amount, equal amount, 100% of that amount you will pay in M1, you will pay in M2 as well. It would only represent 1 month. Sushil, I am under monthly scheme, not under QRMP. अगर मैं monthly में हूं तो वो liability एक ही महीने की होगी ना, क्योंकि हर month का 3B separately file कर रहा हूं. Then if the liability is for 1 month, then I have to pay entire liability which is deposited in cash. याद रखना, मैं पूरी liability की बात नहीं कर रहा हूं. Liability का वो portion जो मैंने कैश में डिस्चार्ज किया है, only that amount I have to pay in M1, similar amount I will pay in M2. Is that clear? Fix sum method का कैलकुलेशन अंडर द सेकंड कैटेगरी कि दैट अगर पीछे वाली फ्रीक्वेंसी मेरी मंथली है तो मुझे कितना डिपॉजिट करना है. वेरी सिंपल. इन द लास्ट 3B जितना अमाउंट आपने डिपॉजिट किया कैश में उतना आपको, जितना अमाउंट आपने डिपॉजिट किया कैश में उतना. एक मिनट. So I'm talking about the liability which you will deposit in the GSTR 3B. Amount of cash you will, equal amount of the cash will pay in M1, equal amount of the cash you will pay in M2. अब क्वेश्चन पूछिए पहले, सर ये 35% में होल 2 मंथ 1 टाइम और 2 टाइम और लास्ट डेट की फुलफिल टैक्स एग्जांपल. मैं अभी एग्जांपल लूंगा, एक और रुकिए. आई विल टेक द एग्जांपल आल्सो, आई विल हैव द एग्जांपल आल्सो. तो 35% for 35% second month and remaining 30% for third month. So still 30% नहीं होगा, वो remaining है ना, वो आपकी actual liability होगी. अभी 35 और 35 किसके बेस पे किया है? लास्ट मंथ के बेस पे किया है या लास्ट क्वार्टर के बेस पे किया है. ठीक है. अब क्या होगा जब आप पूरे क्वार्टर, माई लास्ट फ्रीक्वेंसी इज अंडर QRMP, देन आई कैन से 35% of the liability deposited in cash, tax paid in cash, I have to pay 35% in M1 and 35% is M2. ठीक है. अभी एग्जांपल करते हैं. लेट्स से विल डू द एग्जांपल. ठीक है, एक एग्जांपल करते हैं. लेट्स डू एग्जांपल, तभी थोड़ा और क्लैरिटी मिलेगी. नाउ let's say I am under QRMP and I like to pay for month 1, month 2, etc. The quarter which I am talking about, April, May and June. ठीक है. This is the quarter for which I like to deposit the tax, April, May and June. आप मुझे पार्ट पार्ट में आंसर करते रहना. First tell me the liability of April. What is the last date to pay the taxes of April? Please tell me, what is the last date to pay the taxes of April under QRMP? मेरी लास्ट डेट क्या है टैक्स पे करने की अंडर QRMP फॉर अप्रैल? आप डेट भी बताना और मंथ भी बताना. अभी एक बार आप थोड़ी देर के लिए क्वेश्चन, आपके जो कंफ्यूजन है ना वो छोड़ दो, पहले इस एग्जांपल को करते हैं एंड देन यू आस्क द क्वेश्चन ऑन दिस टू मेथड, ऑन दिस फर्स्ट मेथड. पहले फिक्स मेथड में आप मेरे को क्वेश्चन पूछना, बट पहले आप मेरे साथ ये एग्जांपल सॉल्व कीजिए. ठीक है. मंथ खत्म होने के बाद भूमिका, अप्रैल once it is ended, then 25th of next month. See, I am talking about the due date for the taxes to be paid. क्या है ड्यू डेट टैक्स पे करने का? Due date for the taxes to be paid is 25th May, and for May 21 it will be the 25th June. This we will discuss. It is not applicable. यहां पे मैं जो पेमेंट करूंगा वो PMT 6 के माध्यम से या जो चलन फिक्स मेथड है उसके अकॉर्डिंग नहीं करूंगा. Currently we are talking about M1 and M2. First, that I have to pay the taxes after the end of the month, next month का 25th. Next month का 25th. Similarly for M2, next month का 25th. इसका मतलब क्या होगा? 25th June. ड्यू डेट क्लियर है? ठीक. What you are doing? I am depositing the cash. What is the mode by which you will deposit? What is the mode by which you will deposit? पहले मुझे बताइए. What is the mode by which you will deposit this cash? You will deposit. Now my question is, what is the mode by which you will deposit? आंसर इज, आप डिपॉजिट कैसे करोगे कैश में? कैश को डिपॉजिट कैसे करोगे? चालान के माध्यम से. व्हाट इज द फॉर्म नंबर? PMT 6. नाउ यू विल डिपॉजिट थ्रू PMT 06. देन when you select PMT 06, ठीक है, when you select PMT 06, then there is two option na, that are you depositing because of QRMP or are you depositing because of QRMP or are you depositing because of other? So you will select QRMP. You will select QRMP. Under the QRMP, there are two methods. Under the QRMP, there are two methods. One is the fixed sum method and one is self-assessment method. हम किस मेथड की बात करें? फिक्स सम मेथड की. In the fixed sum method, it will be depend upon what is the frequency of the last quarter. What is the frequency of the last quarter? Now I am assume that furnishing frequency of the last period is quarterly. How much taxes you deposited? 100 rupees CGST, 100 rupees SGST and 50 rupees IGST. Please tell me how much amount I will deposit in the month of, for the month of April, which is liability for April. कितना amount मैं deposit करूंगा? How much amount I will deposit in the month, for the month of May by 25th, for the month of April by 25th May. Assume the frequency of the last quarter is QRMP. So all answer are correct. All answer are correct. What you did is simply saying that 35 CGST, 35 CGST, 35 SGST and 17.5 is IGST. एक बात मुझे बताइए, only one thing tell me that what you have assumed, this 100 is the 100, 150, this 250, please confirm that this 250 is the total liability, for the quarter, या liability which is being deposited in cash. मेरा क्वेश्चन आपसे है कि ये जो फिगर लिखा हुआ है, आपका अजम्पशन क्या है? ये अमाउंट जितना डिपॉजिट किया कैश में, या मैं प्रीवियस क्वार्टर की बात कर रहा हूं, जन टू मार्च की कर रहा हूं, इज इट माई टोटल ग्रॉस लाइबिलिटी और इज इट माई टोटल लाइबिलिटी का वो पोर्शन जो कैश में पे किया? व्हाट इज द अजम्पशन दैट यू हैव मेड? मतलब आपने 35%, 35% और 17.5, 35, 17.5 आपने बिल्कुल सही कहा। अब मेरा क्वेश्चन ये 100, 100 और 50 ये टोटल लाइबिलिटी है, टोटल लाइबिलिटी फॉर दैट क्वार्टर है, या लाइबिलिटी विच इज बीइंग पेड इन कैश है? क्या है? दोनों में से कोई एक चीज तो है, क्या है? Absolutely correct, because it is the liability which is being paid in cash. उसी का 35% लेना है, ग्रॉस लाइबिलिटी का नहीं लेना। लेट्स से ग्रॉस लाइबिलिटी इज, लेट्स से इट इज 500, 500 एंड लेट्स से 250, मुझे उसका नहीं लेना। आई हैव टू टेक द अमाउंट विच इज डिपॉजिटेड। यहां एक क्वेश्चन और बनता है, मे 21 का जो लाइबिलिटी है विच आई विल पे ऑन 25 जून, ये कितना अमाउंट पे करना पड़ेगा? हाउ मच अमाउंट आई हैव टू पे? हाउ मच अमाउंट आई हैव टू पे ऑन 25 जून? हाउ मच अमाउंट आई हैव टू पे ऑन 25 जून? My next question is, how much amount you will deposit in the month, for the month of May, which you will deposit on 25th June? The answer is same. Sir, under the fixed sum method, it is the beauty that for M1 and M2, it would remain same. It will not. My voice is coming. Ah. My question is that how much amount I have to pay for the month of the June? How much amount I have to pay for the month of the June? Can I say out of 100 I have paid 70, so balance 30 I have to pay for the month of the June? अभी नहीं बफर करेगा, अभी नहीं बफर करेगा, अभी तो ठीक है ना। वो 1 मिनट के लिए नेट चला गया था, फॉर जस्ट कपल ऑफ सेकंड द नेट वाज गॉन। नाउ आई थिंक इट इज ओके, राइट? नाउ प्रोबेबली इट वुड बी ओके। जस्ट फ्रैक्शन ऑफ मिनट्स के लिए, कुछ टाइम के लिए, 10-20 सेकंड के लिए वो वीडियो चला गया था, नेट चला गया था। अभी तो ओके ना? स्क्रीन विजिबल कर दी, ठीक है, ठीक है। सो कैन आई से दैट आई हैव टू पे द बैलेंस अमाउंट? एक बात ध्यान रखिएगा, फॉर द मंथ ऑफ द जून, because I have already paid 35, 35, 70, can I say that I have to pay the balance amount? Can I say that I have to pay the balance amount? That is 30. Can I say that I have to pay the balance amount for 30 of under C and S 30 and whatever the amount in I 15? Is it what you like to say? कि जो आप जून मंथ में करोगे वो आप क्या करोगे? अप्रैल और मई में जो डिपॉजिट कर दिया, और बैलेंस, बैलेंस किससे? 100 में से ना सर। व्हाट इज द 100? व्हाट इज द 100? 100 is the liability represent for current quarter. No, sir, it is represent to the last quarter. Please note, whatever you have deposited for the month of the June, or for the month of, for the month of May and April, for the M1 and M2, you have deposited based on the previous quarter sales, liability paid in cash. This is not the current month liability. So, after the end of the quarter, you will furnish actual sale, you will furnish actual ITC, द रिमेनिंग लाइबिलिटी, जितना भी लाइबिलिटी है आपको जमा करना पड़ेगा आफ्टर रिड्यूसिंग 70 रुपीज, 35 प्लस 35. The answer would be in the month of the June, the point number 1, there is no due date 25th. Please note, what is the due date for payment of the taxes of June quarter? It is exactly equal to the due date of the GSTR 3B. I'm not sharing the screen. My point is, hello. तब थोड़ा सा प्रॉब्लम हो गया. I'm so sorry. I was talking about that जून में क्या करोगे आप, एक्चुअल जून का 3B फाइल करोगे, जून का 3B फाइल करोगे. व्हेन यू फाइल द जून 3B यू विल रिपोर्ट एक्चुअल लाइबिलिटी, और उसमें जितना लाइबिलिटी बचता है आफ्टर एडजस्टिंग द अमाउंट विच यू डिपॉजिटेड इन कैश, उसके बाद आपको अमाउंट बैलेंस पे करना पड़ेगा. फर्स्ट पॉइंट, इज दैट क्लियर? दैट व्हाट इज द अमाउंट आई हैव टू डिपॉजिट फॉर द मंथ ऑफ द जून? इज इट क्लियर? क्या अमाउंट मुझे जून के लिए पे करना पड़ेगा? इज इट क्लियर टू ऑल? जून के लिए क्या पे करना पड़ेगा? अप्रैल में एक बार इग्नोर कीजिए 100 रुपीज को. आप एक्चुअल सेल्स, actual ITC GSTR 3B for that quarter you will furnish, and the balance liability आपको पे करना पड़ेगा जिसमें ऑलरेडी 70 रुपीज पे किया हुआ है. You will reduce that and balance amount on actual basis you will pay. Is that clear? Point number 1. Point number 2, that जून का ड्यू डेट क्या है? In case of the after the end of the quarter, when you furnish the GSTR 3B, the due date of the 3B would equal to the due date of payment of tax. There would be no different due date for 3B and different due date for the taxes. No, it is exactly same. कितना टैक्स पे करना है वो हम ऑलरेडी डिस्कस कर चुके हैं. कितना टैक्सेस पे करना है वो हम डिस्कस कर चुके हैं. कब पे करना है उसका ड्यू डेट क्या होगा? जो GSTR 3B का ड्यू डेट है. व्हाट इज द GSTR 3B ड्यू डेट फॉर QRMP? नाउ रिमेंबर, द एंटायर इंडिया हैज बीन डिवाइडेड इन 2 कैटेगरी. for due date of the 3B for QRMP, it is either 22 or 24. It is either 22 or 24 depending upon the state. जिस स्टेट में आप कुछ स्टेट का 22 किया, कुछ स्टेट का 24 किया, टू रिड्यूस द प्रेशर ऑन द सिस्टम, दैट्स इट. अब जून क्यूआरएमपी के केस में क्या है ड्यू डेट? आइदर 22 जुलाई और 24 जुलाई. अगर मंथली टैक्स पेयर है, if someone is monthly taxpayer, then what is the due date of the 3B? Always 20th of the next month. We are talking about the GSTR 3B. 11 and 13 is the GSTR 1, which we will discuss also. What is the due date of the GSTR 3B? If it is QRMP, then after the end of the quarter, either 22 or 24. If it is monthly, then always 20th of next month. What is the GSTR 1 ka due date? If it is monthly, always 11. If it is quarterly, then 13. मैंने अभी दो ड्यू डेट की बात की है. So, if I am under monthly, then what is the due date of GSTR 1? 11th of next month. What is the due date of the GSTR 3B? It is 20th of next month. Suppose I have opted QRMP, then there would be some frequency for M1, there would be some frequency for M2, there would be something would be for quarter. So first tell me whether applicable or not. M1. Yes or no? Just tell me applicable or not applicable. Whether IFF is applicable for M1. Whether IFF is applicable for M1. Whether IFF is applicable for M1. You just simply tell me applicable or not applicable. That's it. Applicable or not applicable. We are talking about QRMP. हम लोग QRMP की बात कर रहे हैं. We are talking about QRMP. Is it applicable or not applicable? Answer is yes, applicable. So I'll say yes. What about M2? What about M2? Is it applicable or not applicable? Is it applicable or not applicable? For M2, is it applicable or not applicable? Answer is yes, applicable. What about after the end of the quarter? After the end of the quarter, for we were talking about, let's say it is April, it is May, and it is June. Whether for third month, IFF is applicable. IFF is applicable for M3. For M3, IFF is applicable. We'll talk about the due date. Just wait for a minute. Shubham, absolutely correct. Whatever you have written, absolutely correct. I think you like to check your understanding. Am I right? Shubham, आप सिर्फ अपनी अंडरस्टैंडिंग को चेक करना चाहते हैं. Am I right? If this is the case, answer is yes, your statement, your wording is absolutely correct. The answer would be no, it is not applicable. So tell me, GSTR1 is applicable for M1, M2 or June quarter? GSTR1 is applicable for M1, M2 or June quarter? June quarter. Fine. यहां तक मुझे समझ. Now let me talk about the due date. Let me talk about the due date. The due date remains same. 13th of May, 13th of June, and 13th of July. The due date would always same 13 after the end of the month, whether it is IFF or quarter. यहाँ तक क्लियर है? Is it clear till now? एक बार कंफर्म करना. Is it clear till now? Is it clear till now? एक बार कंफर्म करना. Is it clear till now? I hope it is clear till now. वैशाली नो का मतलब नहीं समझा तो आपने नो लिखा है. वैशाली बिंदल, you are saying something no. I think you are giving the reply to the answer to the question now. ठीक है. Now let me talk about the same thing for GSTR 3B. GSTR 3B and payment of tax. What is the due date for the payment of the taxes on the so payment of the taxes? Do I need to pay? Yes. I can simply say the same thing. I can copy paste. Correct. Pay the taxes on monthly basis, and on the last you are not required to pay through PMT 06 separately, but yes, along with GSTR 3B. Now, what is the due date? What is the due date? The due date for M1, क्या due date होगा? What is the necessity of IFF so that recipient can take the input tax credit? Recipient can take the ITC. ये तो मेरा पहला क्वेश्चन था सुशील. ठीक है, क्लियर है ना? क्लियर है ना बच्चा? IFF में सिर्फ आप अपनी आउटवर्ड सप्लाई रिपोर्ट करते हो भूमिका, और उसी मंथ में टैक्स को डिपॉजिट करने का. देखो, जीएस सेल और टैक्स दो अलग अलग चीज रखी है. सेल्स के लिए उन्होंने या तो IFF दिया या GSTR1 दिया है. टैक्सेस के लिए GSTR 3B दिया है. तो 1 and 3B में हमेशा डिफरेंस होगा कि 1 का ड्यू डेट पहले होगा, 3B का ड्यू डेट बाद में होगा. तो 3B मतलब टैक्स का ड्यू डेट है. What is the due date for payment of tax? I can say 25th May, 25th June. Is it applicable? Not applicable. GSTR 3B, is it applicable? Not applicable, not applicable. But यहाँ पे मैं क्या लिखूं? June quarter. When I will file the GSTR 3B for the entire quarter, April to June quarter, what is the due date of the GSTR 3B? 22/24. 22/24 of July. And this is exactly equal to the due date of the taxes. यहां तक बात क्लियर है? क्वेश्चन पूछिए प्लीज. Please ask the question, otherwise confirm. Yes, sir. Till now it is okay. Till now it is okay. Please confirm till now it is okay or not. If you're not clear, then kindly ask the question. (22 or 24). 22 or 24. And in case of monthly, the GSTR1 is 11th of next month and GSTR 3B is 20th of next month. Darshan, 22/24. आगे बढ़े. इज इट क्लियर? इज इट क्लियर? एक बार कंफर्म करो क्विकली सो दैट वी कैन मूव टू द नेक्स्ट. कविता, भूमिका, राजीव, मनीषा, दर्शन, वर्षा, सेठे, Diksha, Sudhanshu, everyone are requested to give me the confirmation that is it clear or something is question, then kindly ask the question. Loga Sundar, Manisha, Ritik Prajapati, clear है सभी लोगों को? If question है मोहम्मद का, if taxes is paid is M1 and M2 is greater than actual, then is refund would be available? बहुत बढ़िया question. Answer is yes, refund would be available, but only after the end of the quarter. Only after when you furnish the GSTR 3B. You can take the refund, no problem, but only when you furnish the GSTR 3B, then refund would be available after that. Now, अगर आपने पीछे वाले की जो फ्रीक्वेंसी थी, in this question we have discussed that if the last frequency is quarterly, suppose if the last frequency is monthly, then how much amount you will deposit? So, in this question, what I'm asking that assume that the frequency of the last period is monthly. So this is the liability which is deposited in cash for the month of the June, for the month of March. So how much amount you will pay for April? How much amount you will pay for May? This is my question. सेम में बेटा जीएसटीआर 3B ड्यू डेट अगर मंथली है तो 20 सुशील, और अगर क्वार्टरली है तो 22 या 24. It will be 100% of the liability. It will be 100% of the liability. It means 50, 50 and 80 exactly same would be paid in M1, same would be paid in M2. Now the next is self-assessment tax. What is the meaning of self-assessment tax? By the name it is clear, you are calculating actual liabilities. You are calculating actual liability by taking into account the actual sales, by taking into account actual ITC, you are calculating the liability to be deposited in cash, and that much amount you will deposit in cash. So by the name it is clear, for every month you are calculating actual liability for by considering the sales minus ITC and the net amount you will deposit in cash. अब कब आपको कैश डिपॉजिट नहीं करना? If there is a sufficient balance available in the cash/credit ledger for first month of the quarter, or second month of the quarter, if it is a sufficient balance available in the cash plus credit plus amount deposited already in first month. मतलब cumulative जितनी liability है, when you are not required to deposit, suppose you are paying you are opted self-assessment tax, and when it is not required to deposit the tax, if cash plus credit is sufficient to discharge the liability, nothing to be paid in cash. That is okay. Mohammed is asking whether refund would be allowed. Suppose I have deposited M1 and M2 amount, I have deposited excess. Can I take the refund? You have to wait for the GSTR 3B. Once you furnish the GSTR 3B for that quarter, after that you can go for the refund, or what is the second option? You can use for the future tax liability. Now we are moving to the GSTR 3B. So let's take a break of 7 minutes. आज 10 मिनट का ब्रेक करते हैं. We will resume at in 5-7 minutes. ठीक है, आज थोड़ा Let me take certain question. Darshan is asking if the taxpayer paid the previous quarter tax liability by debiting the credit ledger, then his tax liability for the first 2 months would be nil. Absolutely correct. If he's going by fixed sum method, or he may choose to go by self-assessment method, then there would be the different answer. Vaishali Bindal, if registered person opted for monthly, not quarterly, then 3B by 20th of next month by actual, yes. Sales not possible of FSM. In that case, sale would be added through GSTR1. Outward supply would be added through GSTR1. The taxes would be paid in the GSTR3B on actual basis. There is no concept of fixed sum method. There is no concept of self-assessment method in case of the monthly taxpayer. Okay. So, next question, if previous quarter return is monthly, then for M1 to same. Previous quarter return is monthly, then for M1 to same as M1 the previous month. Not M1 कैसे होगा बेटा previous month का पीछे वाले last month का जो tax liability है, not M1. You can say if you are saying that if previous quarter return is monthly, previous quarter return is monthly, तो आपको M3 लेना है ना, मतलब M3 में कितना डिपॉजिट किया, not M1. Is it okay? Vaishali Binda. Diksha, is there any benefit of opting QRMP? In this case of QRMP, also you have to pay the tax every month, only GST and previous filed quarterly. Then what the benefit will be? अलग-अलग point है. See, the benefit है कोई रिटर्न नहीं फाइल किया तो मतलब रिटर्न फाइल करने का GSTR1 का लेट फीस है, IFF का कोई लेट फीस नहीं है. There are multiple point. 3B लेट फाइल कर दिया तो आपको लेट फीस भी देना पड़ेगा, इंटरेस्ट भी देना पड़ेगा. सुशील, self-assessment method is another method. Yes. Aisha, in case of the monthly liability in QRMP, what will be the liability for, in case of the monthly liability in QRMP, what will be the liability for June? June will be the actual. So the June cannot be calculated on the estimation basis. There is no method. So you will report for the month of the June, you will calculate actual total tax liability, total ITC. Then the balance you have to deposit in cash after adjusting M1 and M2. अप्रैल के लिए मार्च. यस करेक्ट बेटा. क्लियर हो रहा है ना सभी को जिसको मैं रिप्लाई कर रहा हूं? एक बार कंफर्म करते रहना. आयसा साफा, इज इट क्लियर? सुशील क्लियर है ना? नाउ आई एम टेकिंग द क्वेश्चन ऑफ दीक्षा. दीक्षा इज सेइंग दैट इज देयर एनी बेनिफिट ऑफ ऑप्टिंग QRMP as is case of the QRMP also you have to pay tax every month only GST. ओके सॉरी, ये मैंने टैकल कर लिया, आंसर कर दिया. क्वेश्चन सभी आंसर हो गए. वैशाली बिंदल, सर टैक्स पेमेंट इन M1 to Y50 is 17 point. 50 का 35% ना, 50 का 35%. भूमिका, in case the monthly 3B on 20th of next month or in quarterly 22 or 24 of last month of the quarter, in case of the QRMP 20, absolutely correct. जो भी आपने लिखा है ना बिल्कुल करेक्ट है बेटा. So let's move further. Now we are moving to the GSTR3B. What is the GSTR3B? The GSTR3B is to be furnished by the regular taxpayer or casual taxpayer, casual taxable person. Section 39 subsection 2 talking about that if you are registered under composition, then you have to pay the tax on quarterly basis. CMP 08 by 18th after the end of the quarter, and GSTR4 or yearly basis, and GSTR9A on annual basis. So in case of the composition, the taxes to be paid on quarterly, the return GSTR4 is annually, and also there is one more annual return 9A which is now optional. As of now it is optional since beginning. एक एनुअल रिटर्न है तो सही कंपोजिशन के लिए, बट वो हमेशा ऑप्शनल है. 9A की बात कर रहा हूं, फॉर्म नंबर. सो व्हाट इज द रिक्वायरमेंट टू फाइल द, सो व्हाट इज द रिक्वायरमेंट एज ऑफ नाउ? CMP 08 टू पे द टैक्सेस ऑन क्वार्टरली, एंड GSTR4 to by 30th April. GSTR 4, that is yearly by 30th April. If it is a tax deductor, GSTR 7 tax. ISD, GSTR 6. NRTP, then there is a GSTR 5. That only form number I am told I have explained, but it is not in depth. In depth analysis is only for 3 return: GSTR 1, GSTR 3B, and GSTR 4. Section 39, subsection 7 talk about that what is the due date of the taxes to be deposited. It says that it is exactly the last date on which the furnace is required to furnish the taxes. The requirement of nil return. These 3 return, if there is no detail, then also you have to furnish nil. GSTR 3B, CMP 08 and GSTR 4. अगर आपकी nil liability है, तब भी आपको ये रिटर्न nil फाइल करनी जरूरी है. अगर कोई भी ट्रांजेक्शन नहीं है तब भी आपको नील फाइल करना पड़ेगा, अदरवाइज लेट फीस लेविएबल है. हम सेक्शन 39 रीड करें इसलिए हमने जीएसटीआर 3B का बात किया. जब हम सेक्शन 37 की बात करते तो वहां जीएसटीआर 1 भी है. मतलब अगर नील ट्रांजेक्शन है तब भी आपको जीएसटीआर 1 फर्निश करना जरूरी है. अब बात आती है रेक्टिफिकेशन ऑफ एरर की. मतलब अगर कोई मिस्टेक हो जाती है, क्या हम रिटर्न को रिवाइज कर सकते हैं? जीएसटी ने रिटर्न रिवाइज करने का ऑप्शन नहीं रखा. लेट मी रिपीट वंस अगेन. सपोज आई हैव कमिटेड एनी मिस्टेक, then can you revise that month return again in future? No sir. There is an option of amendment. There is an option of amendment of return which we will discuss in detail. But what is the last date to rectify the mistake? We are talking about section 39 GSTR 3B. What is the last date to rectify the mistake? They are saying 30th November और एनुअल रिटर्न whichever is earlier. क्या कोई मुझे बता सकता है? ये टाइमलाइन हमने कहीं और भी पढ़ी है. एग्जैक्टली सेम टाइमलाइन वी हैव डिस्कस्ड एट समवेयर एल्स आल्सो. प्लीज टेल मी वेयर वी हैव डिस्कस्ड दिस टाइमलाइन. आपको 2 जवाब देने हैं. 2 जगह हमने ये टाइमलाइन ऑलमोस्ट सेम पढ़ी है. ऐसी टाइमलाइन 30th November after the end of the financial year or actual date of furnishing of annual return whichever is earlier, the same we have discussed at somewhere else. Please tell me where. वर्सा सेट है. CMP 6 क्या है? CMP 6 तो कुछ नहीं है. PMT 06 की बात कर रहे हो. You are talking about PMT 6. वर्सा probably you are talking about PMT 6, करेक्ट ना? तो CMP 8 अलग है, PMT 6 अलग है. PMT 6 खाली टैक्स के पे करने के लिए, बट CMP 8 में हम काफी डिटेल लेते हैं. There are some more details. PMT 06 is not same as CMP 8. एक आंसर तो मुझे करेक्ट मिल गया, that the dates which we have discussed just now, 30th November or annual return whichever is earlier. But I need 2 answers from each and every participant. See, first reply you have given correct, that yes, last date to claim the ITC. Absolutely correct. 30th November or annual return whichever is earlier. But एक जगह और हमने same date पढ़ी थी. At one more provision we have discussed almost same date. Can you please tell me which place we have discussed the same date? One is ITC, absolutely correct. What is the second? नहीं, अभी आप कंपेयर मत करो. PMT 06 चालान पेमेंट करने के लिए, CMP 8 कंपोजिशन का चालान पे करने के लिए, एंड GSTR 3B, all are different. There is no matching at all. There is no comparison. To certain extent, you can say PMT 6 is चालान for paying the tax for regular taxpayer, and CMP 8 is for चालान फॉर पेइंग द टैक्सेस इन केस ऑफ द कंपोजिशन. बट वो कुछ और डिटेल भी मांगते हैं. ठीक है. वन इज फॉर ITC एंड सेकेंड इज Debit note या credit note? You remember we have discussed that last date to declare the credit note. I'm not using the word issue. I'm using the word declare the credit note. What is the last date to declare the credit note? What is the last date to declare the credit note? 30th November or annual return, whichever is earlier. याद आया credit note का या नहीं? Are you able to recall the last date to declare the credit note or not able to recall or not discussed at all? हमने discuss किया है या नहीं किया है? या आपको याद नहीं आ रहा या कुछ और? Kindly confirm that the similar date we have already discussed in case of credit note. ठीक है, चलो थोड़ा आगे बढ़ते हैं. So the registered person shall not be allowed to furnish the return if the return of any of the. So what is the restriction on the furnishing of the GSTR3B? A registered person shall not be allowed to furnish the GSTR3B if any of the previous tax period or details of the outward supply GSTR1 has not been furnished. If the previous R1 or the previous 3B is pending, you cannot furnish the subsequent 3B. But government have the power to relax. Okay. Well, the government can allow, not relax, government can allow. Now we are moving back to the GSTR1, and in the GSTR1 we are going to discuss something. What is the GSTR1? GSTR1 is the details of outward supply. What is the GSTR1? GSTR1 is the details of outward supply. Now I am sharing the institute material. स्क्रीन पर आपको दिखाई दे रहा होगा. ठीक है, इसमें मैं कौन से पार्ट की बात करूं? लेट मी गो डायरेक्टली टू द टेबल नंबर विच आई नीड टू डिस्कस विद ऑल ऑफ यू. Now, the content of GSTR1. It is GST number, legal name, trade name, aggregate turnover, year, month, HSN, etc. Detail of the document. And details of the outward supply B2B, B2C, consolidated of B2C, zero rated, deemed export, debit note, credit note, nil rated, exempted, amendment, or advance received or advance adjustment. Now, I will explain these particular part in detail. Now, you need to report all sales, whether it is exempted, whether it is taxable, whether it is registered, unregistered, intra, export, deemed export, SEZ, all type of the details you need to add. All type of the details you need to add. But all type of the debit note, credit note. Any amendment thereof. You remember that suppose if you had the mistake in the return filing for the month of the June, you have wrongly reported any sales. Can you file the revised return? No. What is the option? When you are filing the next return, you can amend the details which you furnished in the last return or previous return. Let's repeat once again. जिस डिटेल को आपने भरा है उस डिटेल में अगर कोई मिस्टेक हो गई है, लेट्स से जीएसटी नंबर, इनवॉइस नंबर, इनवॉइस का डेट, टैक्स का रेट, प्लेस ऑफ द सप्लाई, अमाउंट, एनी मिस्टेक, you can rectify by filing the revised return. No, sir. There is no option to file the revised return. So how to do? You have the option to amend in the subsequent return. You have the option to amend the details in the subsequent GSTR1. So let's say this is June. So when I will furnish the July month GSTR1, I am allowed to amend the details of June, May, whatever the date. What is the last date to amend the details? Same, 30th November or annual return, whichever is earlier. So amendment, you will find all these table. In the GSTR1, what What is the content of the GSTR1? B2B supply, B2C, B2C console. See, this we are going to discuss in detail. What is the difference? What is the difference between consolidated B2C details or B2C more than 2.5 lakh? We are going to discuss. Then zero rated and deemed export. What is the difference? Okay, एक बात बताना मुझे, जीरो रेटेड का मतलब क्या होता है? जीरो रेटेड सप्लाई का मतलब क्या होता है? Any idea about the zero rated supply? आप लोग को आइडिया नहीं होगा, बट लेट मी एक्सप्लेन. द जीरो रेटेड मींस एक्सपोर्ट और एसईजेड. डीम्ड एक्सपोर्ट मतलब ईओयू, ईपीसीजी, एडवांस ऑथराइजेशन. ये सारी जो डिस्कशन है ना, ये फाइनल की है, बट थोड़ा बहुत आइडिया याद रखना. व्हाट इज द जीरो रेटेड सप्लाई? ओनली टू सप्लाई एक्सपोर्ट और सप्लाई टू द एसईजेड. इट कैन बी गुड्स, इट कैन बी सर्विसेज. बट अगर आप एक्सपोर्ट कर रहे हो या एसईजेड यूनिट को सप्लाई कर रहे हो, इट विल बी ट्रीटेड एज जीरो रेटेड. व्हाट इज द डीम्ड एक्सपोर्ट? The deemed export means supply to EOU, supply against EPCG license, एडवांस ऑथराइजेशन. कुछ फॉरेन ट्रेड पॉलिसी में कुछ डीजीएफटी लाइसेंस इश्यू करता है, उन सब के अगेंस्ट में अगर सेल करते हैं तो उसे डीम्ड एक्सपोर्ट कहते हैं. बट दैट इज नॉट अवर cup of tea. That is not required to be discussed in detail. Debit note, credit note, we have already discussed. Nil rated exempted non-GST supply. Amendment for the prior period. Correct? Then advance received or advance adjusted. So, can you give me the answer? I have received the advance for supply of the goods. I have received the advance for supply of the service. In which type of the advance I need to deposit the tax at the time of advance itself? दर्शन राइट. सब्सिक्वेंट मंथ में अलाउड होगा नॉन टैक्सेबल सप्लाई एट जीरो रेट एक्सपोर्ट. यस 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 यस. क्वेश्चन क्या है? क्वेश्चन है कि एडवांस अगर आपको दिया मैंने गुड्स के अगेंस्ट में या सर्विस के अगेंस्ट में, कौन से एडवांस पर आपको टैक्स देना है? ओनली गुड्स, ओनली सर्विस और बोथ? दिस क्वेश्चन इज नॉट ऑन 86B. दिस क्वेश्चन इज ऑन टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई. ये क्वेश्चन 86B का नहीं है, ये क्वेश्चन टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई का है. My question is, which advance is taxable? Advance for supply of the goods or advance for supply of the service? Which advance is taxable at the time of advance? If you have received the advance for goods, is it taxable? For services, is it taxable? Or both are taxable? Taxable means अभी तक आपने सप्लाई नहीं किया, you have only received the goods, you have only received the advance. So do you need to pay the GST on advance? Or do you need to pay the GST at the time of supply? That is my question. Which advance is taxable in the GST? Is it for goods? Is it for services or both? The answer is services. From 15th November 2017, the advance for supply of the goods has been relaxed. Advance for supply of the goods has been relaxed, but advance for supply of the service is still taxable in the current date as well. I'm only talking about the forward charge. I am not talking about RCM. So ये मेरा क्वेश्चन टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई के चैप्टर से था. आई होप आपका टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई चैप्टर आपके सिलेबस में ना, यू हैव द सिलेबस ना ऑफ टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई. आपके सिलेबस में है ना टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई? आगे बढ़ते हैं. So you have in the GSTR1 you will give the document issue detail, you will give the HSN wise detail, year, month, etc. You will give these details. Now regarding the invoice, whether you will give the consolidated detail or you will give the individual detail, that is my question which I like to explain. Which invoices would be reported individually? Which invoices would be reported consolidated? The first point, the invoice, whether it is inter or intra. If it is B2B, what is the meaning of B2B? It means registered to registered party. What is the meaning of B2C? Registered to unregistered party. My point is, if it is registered sales, always it will be the invoice wise information. You cannot put the consolidated information. In case of the B2C, in case of B2C, divide in two parts. Whether value is more than 2.5 lakh or value is up to 2.5 lakh. The first point. क्या मैं डिस्कस कर रहा हूं? I am discussing that whether you will report consolidated in the GSTR1 or you will report invoice wise information in the GSTR1. In case of the B2B, it is always invoice wise. In case of the B2C, you have to see whether value of the invoice is more than 2.5 or up to 2.5. If it is more than 2.5, then further check, is it interstate supply or is it intrastate supply? एक बात बताना, इंटरस्टेट सप्लाई में कौन सा टैक्स चार्ज होता है? इंटरस्टेट सप्लाई में कौन सा टैक्स चार्ज होता है? विच टैक्स विल बी चार्ज इन केस ऑफ द इंटरस्टेट सप्लाई? IGST. And if it is intra, then C plus S or C plus CUT GST. Correct? So, this information will be invoice wise. And inter or intra, if the invoice value is up to 2.5 lakh, whether it is inter or intra, and invoice value which is more than 2.5 lakh but intra, these three detail would be consolidated. Let me repeat once again. If my supply is B2C, B2C का मतलब क्या है? Registered to unregistered party. Which type of the transaction will be invoice wise? If invoice value is more than 2.5 lakh plus interstate, it means only IGST. These details would be entered, would be reported as invoice wise. and rest B2C will be consolidated. If I'm talking about rest B2C, then which type of the B2C will come? Up to 2.5 lakh, both inter or intra. More than 2.5 lakh, only intra. Is it clear? एक बार लैंग्वेज रीड कर लेते हैं. Inter and intra-state supplies made to registered, it will be invoice wise. Interstate supplies made to unregistered but invoice value exceeding 2.5 lakh. So they are using the word inter. Correct? If it is B2B, always invoice wise. If it is B2C but inter and exceed 2.5 lakh in IGST, invoice wise. If it is unregistered, then all intrastate supply irrespective of any value, and if it is unregistered and interstate, then only invoice having up to rupees 2.5 lakh will be reported as invoice, will be reported as consolidated. ये बात क्लियर है? Is it clear? एक बार कंफर्म करना. यार मुझे टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई के क्वेश्चन का आंसर नहीं मिला ढंग से, बड़ा दुख हुआ यार. हाउ इट इज पॉसिबल टू नॉट टू एबल टू रिकॉल टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई प्रोविजन? कैसे पॉसिबल हुआ टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई का प्रोविजन आपको याद नहीं है? ऐसे मत करो यार, जो पढ़ा वो रिवाइज करते रहो, नहीं तो बैंड बच जाएगी मेरी. किसी को याद है टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई इन केस ऑफ द रिवर्स चार्ज, टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई फॉर सर्विस इन केस ऑफ द रिवर्स चार्ज? क्या है प्रोविजन? कोई मुझे बता सकता है? टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई फॉर रिवर्स चार्ज, टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई फॉर सर्विस इन केस ऑफ द रिवर्स चार्ज, क्या प्रोविजन था? क्या प्रोविजन है टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई ऑफ सर्विस इन केस ऑफ द रिवर्स चार्ज? एक मिनट का ब्रेक लेता हूं, पानी का बोतल लेके आ रहा हूं, जस्ट 1 मिनट है. क्विकली गिव मी द आंसर. क्वेश्चन क्या? व्हाट इज द टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई फॉर रिवर्स चार्ज इन केस ऑफ सर्विस? So we were discussing that, yeah, कि what is the time of supply in case of the reverse charge for service? What is the time of supply in case of RCM for service? Date of सो मेरा सर्विस का क्वेश्चन था. द ओनली द राइट आंसर इज गिवन बाय मनीषा, कविता, आयशा, ओनली 3 पार्टिसिपेंट. इतना गलत है, सोचो. मींस जिस चैप्टर को हमने इतना डिटेल में, हर एक चैप्टर को हमने इतना डिटेल में डिस्कस किया, उसके बावजूद भी आप अगर आंसर नहीं बता पा रहे हो, दैट्स नॉट करेक्ट यार. ये ऐसा लग रहा है कि टीचर ढंग का नहीं है. मतलब इट अपियर दैट टीचर ढंग का नहीं है, जिसने अच्छा नहीं पढ़ाया इसीलिए याद नहीं रह पा रहा है. ऐसा मत करो यार. चलो सर. So if it is a debit note or credit note, ठीक है, so we will give the details, debit note or credit note. If it is B2B, we have the separate invoice, separate debit credit note. If it is B2C large, then again separate. If it is for intra-state up to 2.5 lakh or intra-state, up to 2.5 lakh, whether it is inter or intra, and in case of inter, up to 2.5 lakh. These debit and credit note will be put consolidated. So see the chart. See the chart. I think the discussion which we had, it will have the more clarity. If it is B2B supply, then whether it is inter or intra, it will always invoice wise. If it is B2C supply, then divide whether it is inter or intra. If it is intra, it will always consolidate it. In case of the inter, invoice 2.5 lakh से ज्यादा का है, invoice wise जाएगा. Invoice up to 2.5 lakh है तो consolidate जाएगा. याद रखना, consolidation would be rate wise and state wise. सपोज मेरी इंटरस्टेट सेल है तो कंसोलिडेशन कैसे होगा? कंसोलिडेशन होगा कि भाई स्टेट वाइज कंसोलिडेशन होगा. लेट्स से आई हैव मेड द सप्लाई फ्रॉम दिल्ली टू यूपी, 10 सेल्स इनवॉइस है, आई विल कंसोलिडेट ऑल 10. 5 है मेरा हरियाणा, आई विल कंसोलिडेट 5. द कंसोलिडेशन वुड हैपन स्टेट वाइज एंड रेट वाइज. Now regarding HSN code. What is the HSN? HSN harmonized system of nomenclature. So when we are making the invoice, we are required to report the HSN code. When we are making the invoice, we are required to report the HSN code, right? Now what is the mandatory requirement to report the HSN? If your aggregate turnover is up to 5 crore, then in case of the B2C, it is optional. In case of the B2B, you have to report 4 digit. अगर आपकी एग्रीगेट टर्नओवर 5 करोड़ से एक्सीड कर रही है, then 6 digit for B2B or B2C both. This is a separate table in the GSTR1, which you need to report, HSNY summary, In the HSNY summary, if your aggregate turnover is up to 5 crore, all B2B, जितने भी B2B के transaction है, you will give that detail up to 4 digit. In case of the B2C, you have the choice. But if it is aggregate turnover more than 5 crore, then 6 digit. Rectification of error, we have already discussed. ठीक है. Nil GSTR1, yes, it is required to be reported in the nil GSTR1. So fine. Rest of the details we will discuss in the next class. But let me revise the today discussion. Let me revise. We have the 20 minute. आज मैं 15 मिनट आपसे क्वेश्चन करूंगा, 15 मिनट आपसे Q&A का क्वेश्चन करूंगा, आपको आंसर मुझे देना, जो भी आज डिस्कस किया दैट वी विल डिस्कस. ठीक है, लेट मी स्टार्ट. अशोक जी, अब आप मुझे मेन स्क्रीन पर कर सकते हो. आई विल बी इन द मेन स्क्रीन ओनली. स्क्रीन शेयरिंग स्टॉप. हाँ दर्शन, राइट. दर्शन, डेबिट नोट क्रेडिट नोट क्या है? सी, the debit note and credit note which is being issued for the invoice, in the same pattern you will report. It means if it is B2B, you will report detailed invoice, like invoice wise you will report the detailed debit credit note. If it is more than 2.5 lakh, then enter, it will be invoice wise information need to be entered. Every debit credit note need to be reported separately. Next, if it is for up to 2.5 lakh or more than 2.5 intra, then you need to report consolidated. What is the relevance of HSN code, sir? HSN code is basically classification. Very, very useful to analyze something. Let's say I am making the sale of shirt. It has one HSN code. So when everyone will report the HSN, then government at single click, they can identify that which item is consumed, what is the level of consumption. They can do the various analysis on the basis of this reporting. चलो सर बात करते हैं. चलो सर, आज हमने काफी डिस्कशन किया. ठीक है, मैं रिवीजन भी करवा रहा हूं और साथ में क्वेश्चन भी पूछ रहा हूं. लेट्स ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड इन दिस मैनर. लास्ट 20 मिनट आई एम रिवाइजिंग ऑल्सो एंड आई एम आस्किंग द क्वेश्चन ऑल्सो. ठीक है, नाउ GSTR4 is a monthly return, quarterly return or annual return? GSTR4 is a monthly return, quarterly return or annual return? हाँ, भूमिका सेम है, बट जीएसटी में सिर्फ इतना है कि ओनली सप्लायर कैन इशू द डेबिट क्रेडिट नोट. In the books, anyone can issue the debit credit note, but in the GST, it is saying that only supplier can issue the debit credit note. Okay. What is the GSTR4? Is it annual return, monthly return, or quarterly return? Answer is GSTR4 is annual return. Annually, yearly it has to be furnished. Annually, it has to be furnished yearly after the end of the year. What is the frequency of that? So GSTR4 is for regular taxpayer, composition taxpayer, TDS taxpayer, or TCS taxpayer. GSTR4 is for which category of the taxpayer? Is it for regular taxpayer or composition taxpayer or TDS category or TCS category? Next question is GSTR4 is applicable for which category of the taxpayer? The answer is only for composition. Can you please tell me which return are applicable for regular taxpayer? Which return are applicable for regular taxpayer? Return and statement. Because GSTR1 is not the return, GSTR1 is the statement of outward supply. So my question is, which statement or return is applicable for monthly regular taxpayer? Regular taxpayer who has opted monthly, which statement or return is applicable for the monthly taxpayer? GSTR1 and GSTR1 and GSTR3B. Absolutely correct. Now, if regular taxpayer has opted for monthly, which compliances to be made for M1? कौन सी compliances M1 के लिए करनी है? Which compliances to be made for M1? Answer is M1 के लिए क्या करना है? IFF and payment of taxes. What is the last date of IFF? What is the due date of IFF? What is the due date of IFF? IFF की ड्यू डेट क्या है? M1 के लिए आपने एक IFF बोला और दूसरा टैक्स पेमेंट करने के लिए बोला. माई क्वेश्चन इज व्हाट इज द ड्यू डेट फॉर IFF? Answer is, what is the due date for IFF? The answer is 13. And what is the due date for payment of tax? What is the due date for payment of tax? If under QRMP for M1, you have told me the two compliances. One second. First compliances is IFF, for which it is 13. What about taxes? What is the due date for payment of the taxes? The answer is 25th after the end of the month. I am talking about QRMP. In case of the GSTR3B, what is the due date for monthly and what is the due date for quarterly? Due date for payment of tax Due date for GSTR 3B in case of the monthly taxpayer and in case of quarterly taxpayer. मंथली के लिए क्या ड्यू डेट है और क्वार्टरली के लिए क्या ड्यू डेट है किसकी? GSTR 3B की. The answer is what is the due date of the GSTR 3B if it is monthly or if it is quarterly. If it is monthly, then 20. If it is quarterly, then either 22 or 24 depending upon the state. Because India has been divided in two categories of the state, category state number 1 and category state number 2. For category state 1, they have kept 22 and category state number 2, they have kept 24. Kindly confirm my statement or correct me. In case of the QRMP taxpayer, they are not required to report HSN code for B2C supply. Is it correct? In case of the QRMP taxpayer, the B2C supply, they are not required to put any HSN code. It will always be relaxed irrespective of any turnover in case of QRMP. In case of the QRMP taxpayer, irrespective of the turnover, he is relaxed for B2C supply, is not required to put HSN code. Is it correct or not correct? If I am under QRMP, for my B2C supply, there is no requirement to put HSN code for B2C supply. It is optional. Is it correct or not correct? Isan. Okay, tell me one thing. Can QRMP taxpayer have the aggregate turnover more than 5 crore? Is it possible that QRMP taxpayer have that aggregate turnover more than 5 crore? Is it possible? Varsa, Varsa said, hey, my question was different and you are talking about something different. My next question. Is it possible that in case of the QRMP taxpayer aggregate turnover can exceed 5 crore? No, not possible. So it is up to 5 crore now. Up to 5 crore के लिए हमने क्या डिस्कस किया था? Up to 5 crore के लिए हमने क्या डिस्कस किया था? In case your aggregate turnover is up to 5 crore, B2B is 4 digit, B2C optional. यही तो स्टेटमेंट था मेरा कि in case of the QRMP taxpayer, irrespective of any turnover, because it will never exceed 5 crore. So I am saying, if I am under QRMP, I can say my B2C ka turnover is always optional for reporting HSN code. Is it clear? मेरा स्टेटमेंट करेक्ट था. ठीक है. which invoice are required to be reported consolidated in the GSTR1? बहुत बड़ा क्वेश्चन पूछा है मैंने आपसे. यहाँ आपके दो तीन मतलब परमुटेशन कॉम्बिनेशन बन सकते हैं. My question is, which invoices are required to be reported consolidated manner in the GSTR1? थोड़ा सा बड़ा क्वेश्चन है, बट ट्राई टू गिव द रिप्लाई. आई विल ओनली गिव द 30 seconds because we have the shortage of the time. I have to cover multiple question. दीक्षिता, दैट इज करेक्ट. मंथली के लिए भी है और क्वार्टरली के लिए भी है, बट मैंने क्वेश्चन थोड़ा घुमा कर पूछा. इट इज फॉर बोथ, मंथली हो या क्वार्टरली, आपको एचएसएन देना पड़ेगा. अगर आपकी B2B है, 5 करोड़ तक है तो B2B का देना पड़ेगा 4 डिजिट, और 5 करोड़ से ज्यादा है तो B2B प्लस B2C दोनों का देना पड़ेगा 6 डिजिट. Which invoices are required to be reported in the consolidated manner in the GSTR1? Right answer, first right answer is for Aisa. Safa Sayyid. Darshan C. Right. Uh, Kavita Lamsal. Absolutely correct. B2C. I'm analyzing the answer of Subham. B2C intrastate any value? Yes, correct. Subham, correct. Manisha. Very nice. Vishwanatha Reddy. Slight, you need to add one more thing. नहीं, दीक्षित ठीक है. What is the right answer? If it is intrastate supply, any value. If it is inter, then up to 2.5 lakh. If it is intrastate supply, every transaction to be reported. If it is inter, then up to 2.5 lakh will be reported consolidated. Consolidation would happen state wise and rate wise. Okay. The name of the two method for making the payment of the taxes under QRMP. Name of the two method for making the payment of the taxes under QRMP. Quickly tell me what is the name of the two method. What is the name of the two method for making the payment of the taxes under QRMP? The answer is fixed sum method and self-assessment method. Next question to all of you, that if I have opted fixed sum method under QRMP, then please tell me in which situation nothing to be paid. ऐसी कौन सी सिचुएशन है जहां पर मुझे कुछ भी कैश में पे नहीं करना पड़ेगा? ऐसी कौन सी सिचुएशन है जहां पर मुझे कुछ भी कैश में पे नहीं करना पड़ेगा अंडर फिक्स सम मेथड? If Situation number 1, I have the sufficient amount in the cash ledger. Or second situation, if in the previous quarter, entire liability has been deposited through ITC. Nothing is being paid in cash. Then you are not required to pay any taxes in month 1 and month 2 in cash. In case of QRMP, what is the last date to pay the taxes for quarter end, third month, M3? My question is, in case of the QRMP, what is the last day to pay the taxes for month 3 after the end of the quarter? क्वार्टर वाला जो महीना है ना, अप्रैल मई जून, तो जून के टैक्स की लाइबिलिटी कितनी, कब तक पे करनी? द लाइबिलिटी फॉर द मंथ ऑफ द जून हैज टू बी पेड बाय विच डे? The answer is yes, 22 or 24, exactly as per the GSTR 3B. Exactly as per the GSTR 3B date. Next question, what is the time limit to rectify the mistake? What is the time limit to rectify the mistake? What is the time limit to rectify the mistake? What is the last date to rectify the mistake? Furnish the GSTR 3B. When I cannot furnish the GSTR 3B, when I am not allowed to furnish, it is disabled by the system. If मैं अलाउ नहीं हूं GSTR 3B फर्निश करने के लिए, कब? अगर I am not allowed to furnish the GSTR 3B if if yes, Subham is the right. Subham Kopade. कोपाड़े, मैं अगर किसी का प्रोनाउंसिएशन गलत ले रहा हूं तो काइंडली एक्सक्यूज मी फॉर दैट. दर्शन, यस, ये वर्डिंग गलत है, विद इन ड्यू डेट वर्ड गलत है दर्शन, बाकी एब्सोल्युटली करेक्ट है. अगर प्रीवियस जीएसटीआर 3B या प्रीवियस जीएसटीआर 1 पेंडिंग है, आई एम नॉट अलाउड टू फर्निश माई जीएसटीआर 3B. अगर मैं करंट मंथ का 3B फाइल कर रहा हूं, पीछे का जीएसटीआर 1 या पीछे वाले महीने का या पीछे कोई भी जीएसटीआर 1 या 3B पेंडिंग है, I am not allowed to furnish GSTR 3B of the current tax period. Absolutely correct. All are correct. Very nice to see. So, fine. By this we can. So, कविता, आपने कहा था ना कि ITC का चैप्टर 4 का नोट्स अपलोड नहीं हुआ, डे 4 का नोट्स अपलोड नहीं हुआ. You were saying ना कि that day 4 is not yet uploaded. I think it is uploaded now. Please confirm. Is it uploaded now? Please confirm. ओके हो गया ना, नाउ इट्स देयर। ठीक है ठीक है ठीक है ठीक है। HSN फॉर वुमेन, हाँ दीक्षिता HSN दोनों के लिए है, लेकिन अप टू 5 QRMP में क्या होता है, टर्नओवर एक्सीड नहीं करती 5 करोड़ से ज्यादा। ठीक है, तो QRMP में क्या कह सकता हूं मैं, अप टू 5 करोड़ के लिए HSN कितना चाहिए, 4 डिजिट B2B और B2C ऑप्शनल, और मंथली है और टर्नओवर 5 करोड़ से ज्यादा है, देन इट विल ऑलवेज 6 डिजिट। अच्छा, if my aggregate turnover, last question, if my aggregate turnover is less than 5 crore, can I go for monthly? If my aggregate turnover is less than 5 crore, can I go for monthly? This is last question. Answer is yes. No problem. He has the option to go for monthly or quarterly. अगर आपकी टर्नओवर 5 करोड़ तक है, then you have the option to go for monthly or quarterly. So by this, I have completed my session. Thank you very much. Good night to all of you. We'll meet on the next balance part. We will complete the return. We have total 3 more classes. I will teach the balance 3 more classes. One is GST return part 2, and next one invoice accounts and records I will discuss. I think I will check. I'm not sure which chapter is pending. Invoice accounts and records is pending. ठीक है ना? So thank you very much. You can leave for the day. Good night to all of you, and we'll meet on Monday next class. Bye bye.